Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Sitcommentary.
Yep.
We're going with this intro. We're not doing another one. This is the first episode of Sitcommentary, a show where I and me and God dang it, it's 12 o'clock and we suck.
Yeah, it's really late. So
sorry, the best intro in all of podcasts right here. This is the first episode of Sitcommentary. Sitcommentary is a show where we review a sitcom. We review every episode of the sitcom. This is season 1 of Sitcommentary, where we will be reviewing the show Raising Hope. It is one of my favorite sitcoms. So we're going to be reviewing episode 1 and 2 today. I guess first let's start with, let's go. We'll end with general thoughts. Let's just start. Episode 1.
Okay.
All right. Here's my notes. I have very in-depth notes for this. So when you have a note or something you want to say, pop in. I'll try to leave some spaces for you.
Oh, and I'll make some interjections for you.
The show opens with Jimmy, who is our main character, skimming the pool with his cousin Mike. We've also find out around that time that his boss is a total jerk and pushes all the leaves back into the pool. So Jimmy, he's fed up because apparently this is something that the boss does all the time. So Jimmy walks off, quitting. He's done. Screw this. There's no point. So then, the next scene we cut to is them at the house, or we cut to Jimmy at his house telling his mom that he quit, and they go to dinner at the house, they have dinner at the house, and we find out that the boss is actually his dad, Bert.
Yeah. I wrote that Jimmy's dad is literally just a very large kid.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he is definitely a kid. Jimmy's mom, Virginia, she messes up the pronunciation of philosophical, which is a. I
have.
I think we're about to say the same thing.
Yeah, pronunciation of a lot of words.
That's kind of her character's thing. She will either say a word wrong or the wrong word. It depends. I feel like this first couple episodes she does more saying the wrong word wrong. Later on, the character kind of develops more into using similar sounding words that have completely different meanings. She's got that kind of trope for her.
I see.
I guess I should, preface with kind of the vibe of all these characters is they definitely feel kind of, white trashy, if you will.
Yeah. Like the epitome of white trash.
Yeah. The only thing that could be more white trash is if they were living in a trailer, which they're not. That's about it. Not that there's anything wrong with living in a trailer. We're just going with stereotypes of white trash. They are not. These are characters, not real people. And this is the first thing.
No, what?
I was just gonna say that this was her saying philosophical wrong. This is the first of many times that she's gonna do that. That's very much a thing she's going to do. That is a character point. That's part of her character. If you were to write the the lore Bible of this show, next to her character would be messes up big words.
Messes up big words all the time.
And then in the same scene, we are also introduced to Jimmy's great grandma,
Mima.
She's called Mima in this episode, I think, because you're right. But later on, they call her Mama, and constantly, and that's what she will be throughout the rest of the show. So I wrote Mima at first, and then the next episode she was called Mama. I was like, oh yeah, no, her name is Mama. I must have heard it wrong in the last episode. But the fact that you pointed that out makes me think that I was right. They called her Mima. Her name is Mama, and she's a loon. Straight up nutball. Straight up full crazy.
Yeah, and we find out that she is mostly not driving in the front seat.
Yeah, no, she's definitely
more often than not in the passenger seat.
Yeah, she's very crazy. She's definitely also thinks she's younger, and multiple times throughout the show will mistake one of the other male characters to be her dead husband. Which these characters, these characters are either her grandson-in-law or her great-grandson. That she is kissing at times because she thinks they're her dead husband.
Yeah. Is this the scene where she like takes a puff of her cigarette and then kisses Jimmy on the mouth?
Yes, that is the scene. Yeah, and then he's washing out his mouth at this point, and that's when they move on to why he has to do something in a second.
Yeah.
So they find out that they're out of bubblegum ice cream, which is the treat that Mama likes having every night. At least in this episode. I don't remember. I don't think it is brought up ever again. But either way, they're out of the bubblegum ice cream they need. So they play nose goes. You know, everyone covering up, putting their finger on the nose, and the last person to not put their finger on the nose was Jimmy because he was washing, in his words I believe, washing Mama out of his mouth.
Out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Me so off.
Yeah. He goes to the store. He buys, some bubblegum ice cream. He's on the way home, and there's this woman that comes out of nowhere, screaming and like freaking out. There's some guy chasing her. He lets her in the car. They drive off, and she's like, "You saved my life, and you're cute." So they proceed to then hook up in the back of his van.
Yeah. They make love to each other.
Yeah. She rewards him for saving her life with sex, as you do.
Yeah, it's the standard fare.
But then the problem is, he wakes up the next morning. They're having a great time with her. She's great. She knows how to pronounce some name that I can't even pronounce. I'm not even gonna do it justice. It's a harder like Middle Eastern name that's kind of hard to pronounce that she can do no problem. She's real nice. Yeah,
she's kind of like very well educated. She's super sweet.
She really likes kissing Jimmy. They're all like really shocked by how like passionately she's kissing him before she goes to the bathroom. But then while she's in the bathroom, we see on the TV screen that she's actually a serial killer who specifically kills her boyfriends.
Yeah.
So she comes back. Virginia knocks the crap out of her with a television, and she goes to jail. We cut to a little bit later down the line. We have him visiting her in jail because she asked him to come visit her for something. They open the door,
she's pregnant.
and she's, I think at that point, like 8 months pregnant, something like that. Something in that range, like super pregnant. So he accidentally...
So this is one of my notes. Is that she's talking about how, they were going to give her the electric chair, but surely there's no way they'd give an electric chair to someone, because by the time she would give birth, that baby would be about 6 months old.
That's what it was. She was 8 months pregnant because she said that her date for the electric chair was in 7 months.
She would have had the baby, and the baby would be 6 months.
Yeah.
She'd be like, "There's no way they give the electric chair to a mother of a 6-month-old child." And literally the next scene
is her getting electrocuted.
It's her in the electric chair.
With Jimmy and the baby.
Oh, as it turns out, they would give the electric chair to her.
And it's Jimmy and the baby in like the room watching and him covering the baby's eyes.
It's so dark. Oh,
but
it's so dark,
great.
But it's so funny.
Yeah. So Jimmy has to raise little Princess Beyonce. As her dead mother named it.
Aptly named.
The character, the dead mom's character, not that it matters that much, his name is Lucy. Just throwing it out there in case anyone is curious. But yeah, so he
she dies.
Yeah, she's dead.
And is only passively mentioned.
Yeah.
At least in episode 2.
That's true. But yeah, Jimmy now has to raise Princess Beyonce. So Jimmy, I think I might have, skipped a scene here, but it's the scene that probably didn't matter that much. The next big point is Jimmy is on the way to the pawn shop to sell some of his...
I gotta get stuff for this baby.
Yeah, so he's going to sell his stuff and buy baby stuff at the pawn shop. And when he's on his way there, we meet... He passes a grocery store, and we meet the character Sabrina, who works at the grocery store.
Sabrina's cute, by the way.
She is a very attractive girl. And she is very concerned why he has this baby in this cart. And she's also pretty sure that it's a stolen cart.
Yeah, pretty sure it's also not his baby.
Yeah, but he does confirm that it is... it probably was a stolen cart, but it was stolen a long time ago because it has been in their backyard for years. They use it as a grill.
It's the family cart.
Yeah, they use it as a grill because there's still cheese from the last burger night on the shopping cart.
So good.
Yeah. Okay, so she's really, really concerned about this. But, she lets him go. She accepts, like, okay, I guess this is your baby. So then a little while later, the next scene we have is a argument between Virginia and Jimmy about, like, safety. Like, child safety, and, like, it talks about, like, how he did, basically, Virginia is very not supportive of him keeping Princess Beyonce. Because, he's kind of he's kind of a screw-up who lives with his parents. Kind of maybe not the guy who's ready to be a father. So she's not really supportive of this. She really wants... one thing they do mention a lot during this that I didn't write down because I didn't think about, but... well, either way, it's that she really wants him to go drop the baby off at the, fire station. Just go drop the baby off.
Well, they'll raise the baby.
So there's some fun, like, he didn't buckle in the car seat and the baby goes flying across the car in the car seat. So the baby's fine, but there's also a whole...
She's like, did you buckle in the car seat?
And he's like, what are you talking about?
No, why would...
And then she
just swings
the car real hard. The car seat just goes flying across the back seat. Yeah, it's great. And then, he goes to the back seat and he realizes there's a hole down there. And that's actually the first time we have a flashback.
Yeah, we get a flashback to his childhood.
Of little Jimmy who, is sticking his head through this hole at the bottom of the car because he didn't have a car seat. And as Jimmy pointed out, car seats existed back then, but they just didn't have one.
Yeah, So, another important plot point is that Jimmy's parents had him when they were 15.
Yeah.
So they were like...
they were children.
Also definitely not ready to have a child. Much like Jimmy was.
Yeah. Even though Jimmy is in his 20s.
Yeah.
I would
definitely an adult.
They have not said... I don't think they say his age, but they do have the flashbacks always say 20 years ago, and that kid looks about 4 to 5. Maybe 6. Yeah. So he's somewhere in the 24 to 26 range.
Yeah.
Alright, so the next is, after that little argument and spat, the next scene we go to is Jimmy at the grocery store to buy baby food. And he then, talks to Sabrina, because she's the one ringing up, and, asks the question that I find very funny. Maybe, I don't know, I think it's acceptable. I think we could talk about it. I don't think it's too edgy of a joke they made, was it? The baby food question? Because Jimmy's an idiot. Jimmy's a straight up idiot.
Jimmy is really not...
Because, he's not smart, and he was raised by people who weren't smart, so he really had no choice, no hope.
Yeah.
So he buys this baby food, and he walks up to Sabrina, and he's like, hey, I have this question. It might be a dumb question. And he asks her...
It might be a dumb question.
He's like, hey, there's these 2 jars of baby food. One has a little black baby, and one has a little Asian baby. Is it okay to feed these to my white baby? Because I know I'm supposed to give her vegetables, but is there a reason why these string beans are only for Asian babies?
And these sweet potatoes are only for black babies.
And she's like, no, that the race of the baby doesn't matter. But if you feed her food with a boy on it, she will grow a penis. And then he realized that she was messing with him.
Realization. And he's like, I did say it might have been a dumb question.
He's like, you did. And that's the end of that scene. It's a really fun scene. We definitely did not do it as justice as they did, but it's just an example of, like, the catching you off the wall, like, weird humor this show will have sometimes. Like, wait, what? They said that? But not in an offensive shock way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, very well executed jokes.
Yeah.
That I feel like in most contexts wouldn't land, honestly.
It's the casting. Another thing part of it is it's the cast is great, but also the writing is great because this is the same writing team and producer as My Name Is Earl, which is also a show that is very similar to this in the sense of like they have a sense of humor that they do perfectly. That's a show we will review at some point. I love it. I don't want to do it back to back because the shows can be a little too similar at times.
I see.
Not like super much. If anything, we might have watched them out of order because this show will have references to My Name Is Earl.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, actually, this episode, I'll take a little back. It was definitely a throwaway line that you definitely did not notice. But remember when there's the newscast telling them that she's a serial killer?
Yeah, huh?
It then cuts to the next story was like a former convict finishes his list of things. That is the plot of My Name Is Earl, is that he has this list of things to finish. Like, it references that apparently are in the same world.
I see.
Yeah, it was a little throwaway line that you definitely didn't need to hear and probably wouldn't notice. But I was like, hey, that's the reference to My Name Is Earl. Haha, I like that show. All right, so back to where we were. We leave the grocery store. I think I didn't write this down, but I think this then leads to a very comedic scene about him changing a diaper for the first time. That might have been before this. There's a funny scene there. I didn't write it in my notes.
Where he throws up on his...
He ends up throwing up on his baby, and on Little Princess Beyonce. And Virginia is like, "What do you mean you threw up on the baby?" And she comes in there and then immediately also throws up on the baby. And then he throws up again, and then they cut to the baby with a tiny little bit of spit up coming out of its mouth. So they all three puke.
Yeah, I wrote the... I think because she made noises that they use the same noises as Baby Yoda or Grogu for the you Mandalorian fans.
It's definitely plausible because this was a Fox show, and Mandalorian
that is the exact same sound.
Yeah, I think Mandalorian was made all during like post Disney owning Fox, so they could very easily have just like went over to their own sound bank and were like, boop.
And then I also wrote, in relation to that scene specifically, also big oof to changing diapers. Super nasty. I can verify. I don't know if I could do it as much as I would want to be a father one day, and I know that's an inevitability. Changing diapers. I remember distinctly babysitting a child who was like still in diapers. I mean, I wasn't necessarily. My sister was. And the kid had pooped in their diapers, and when it came to changing time, I was like in the other room playing video games, and the smell was so powerful, it reached me from where I was sitting on the couch in the other room, and I was gagging. So, understandable that they threw up on the baby. Really,
yeah, you get used to it.
Is what I say.
As someone who had a little brother who was 12 years younger than me, so I had to help change diapers his whole life. Well, not his whole life, because he's not still in diapers. But for the time while he was in diapers having to change them, you get used to it. It's not fun. It's never pleasant, but it gets better. You get used to it.
Right.
The one time I almost puked was when I had to clean up...
Not for me.
When I had to clean up puke, like full puke, that was a rough one. But back to the show. Like a rough one. The next kind of little scenes is, just he's ready to put the baby to bed, and the baby will not go to bed. We have multiple establishing shots of the clock and how it's getting later and later.
And then his parents come in, and they're like, "Can you please just put the kid to bed? We're trying to get some sleep."
And he's like, "No, please, just 5 more minutes." Because obviously he wants to put the baby down as well. But yeah, so then it keeps going. I think it's close to like 6 in the morning, I think, by the time his parents finally come in, and they help Bert is playing the guitar and Virginia is singing the song Danny's Song by Loggins and Messina.
Good song.
It is. I really like that song. I looked it up because I was like, what is this song? I know it's a real song because when I watched this the first time years ago with my parents, my mom started singing along, and I was like, oh, I guess this is a real song. This isn't just a lullaby they made up.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Danny's Song by Loggins and Messina. And that finally helps the baby fall asleep.
Yeah, and we do get a flashback of them being 15 and singing Jimmy to sleep
with the same song.
Yeah, and it's kind of a
touching
nice,
moment,
grounding moment in the show that's otherwise filled with like a lot of very absurd moments.
Yeah, that's fair. Then we kind of
a lot of absurd comedy.
Yes. Then we go out to Jimmy. He's sitting out on the porch, just kind of tired, and he looks tired and he looks real defeated. because, he has had that super rough day, and, Virginia comes out basically like, hey, you're not ready for this. You need to stop this. Admit it that you're not ready. And he's like, no, I need this. This is important. I'm not going to give up on this kid, kind of a thing. And, she eventually, accepts that, okay, fine. And he says that he can't do it alone. He's going to need their help. And Bert also had come out. Bert doesn't really say much in the scene, so I forgot to write that down. But Bert does come out, so he says that he's going to.
They do talk about, they do talk about how they just sang a song and like anybody could do it. And I did love that. They're like, yeah, even Charles Manson could do it.
Oh yeah.
They're like, yeah, he did it really well.
Yeah, Mike's got his CDs.
Oh god. Oh gee.
Well, they were referencing Marilyn Manson because they're stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, who's also a horrible person. That's more recently that we found that out, though. So that's a whole. I guess that joke doesn't age well.
Yeah.
I guess people always knew, but it was confirmed to the masses recently.
No. Charles Manson is. You're thinking of someone else.
I'm thinking of Marilyn Manson, who was the joke.
You are thinking of Marilyn.
Because the joke was that not that Charles Manson had CDs. The joke was they're stupid and thought that they were thinking of Marilyn Manson CDs.
Or they might have just been saying that Charles Manson was actually a good songwriter because he did write songs.
But then they said that Mike had his CDs. I'm pretty sure the implication was that it was a Marilyn Manson CDs.
Yeah, probably.
I didn't know Charles Manson actually did anything with music, so I could be wrong. But I always took that joke, especially when they talk about like Mike having his CDs and how he's really good. I thought that was a haha, these people are idiots, and they thought Marilyn Manson was Charles Manson. But it really doesn't matter. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe Chris is wrong, who cares? The point is, Virginia and Bert agree to help him raise the kid, but Virginia says there is no way she is ever going to take Princess Beyonce to church and have to introduce Princess Beyonce to her friends. So she renames the baby Hope.
Hope.
Which is, where the title comes from. And then, right after that, little kind of throwaway thing, Jimmy mentions how he really likes Sabrina to them and how he met this girl. And I don't think he calls her by name at that point, but he meets this girl that he's hoping that there might be something there. And that's where the episode ends.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really solid. Kind of caught me out of left field with all the hard-hitting jokes. I did write that I liked that the show isn't afraid to take punches and make certain jokes that otherwise probably, without proper writing and casting, would be awful.
That's right.
But they also, I feel like, the parents have like the stupid, awful parent show trope, but they do it really well, where you still end up liking the parents, and there's still like these redeemable qualities.
Yeah.
Despite them, raising their child in ways that might have nearly killed him.
We barely touched the surface on that in these first two episodes, especially that first episode. They're horrible. Yeah. They were horrible parents, but it's also they were. There's an element of like, was it like naivete instead of badness? Like maybe they just didn't know any better because they were 15. Yeah. So the moral of this story of episode 1 is don't have sex at 15. All right, episode
and don't have sex with a serial killer.
Sure.
That's a good moral to take.
I don't know. I mean, if you do, you get a cool show made about you. So.
No, I don't think that's how that works.
This isn't a documentary.
No, it's a sitcom. It's the title of the podcast is Sitcommentary, actually.
Yeah, but the second half is mentary. That's actually documentary. You didn't know that?
Okay, well, I was confused this whole time.
Nah, I'm just kidding. The second half is because of the word commentary, guys. It was a joke. All right.
Okay, so anyways,
by the way, that was episode 1. It was titled The Pilot, or Pilot.
Yeah.
The next episode is episode 2, which is titled Dead Tooth. All right. So we start off this episode introducing Jimmy's two friends, Javier and Marcus. They're just kind of weirdos, you know. Actually, I think I take it back. I think the episode actually introduces with. I didn't write this down, but the first thing you see is like Jimmy just talking to the baby, and then walks outside. And we introduced to Javier and Marcus, who are these two.
Yeah, because I think in the beginning he's trying to get Hope to smile.
Is that? I think that's established a little. Smile. I think that's established a little later.
That might be literally.
I wrote it down, so I think it's established a little later. So we start off the episode. We'll see what I wrote. Who cares? Maybe it's wrong. Watch the show. It's a great show. Go watch it yourself. Come back to us and see if you agree with our opinions. But I definitely don't think this podcast. I don't think this podcast would be good enough if you don't watch it. I think you should probably go watch it. It'll make it better.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Absolutely. Same also for Plug. Masterpiece Media.
Oh, that came out already, or is coming out later this week. I don't know yet.
Yeah. Who knows? We'll find out. Stay tuned. But yeah, watch.
Subscribe on Downtown Kentucky at YouTube to find all these great podcasts.
All right, done plugging. Anyways, episode that.
So yeah, Javier and Marcus are these two kind of weirdo guys who are his friends who want to go fight on a bridge with him. Yeah. And he's like, nah, I can't. I have a baby now with a serial killer. I gotta raise this. And then
I had a baby with a serial killer who was put on death row. Which so as a little bit of a background.
Oh yeah.
I watched these episodes backwards. I watched episode 2 and then episode 1 unknowingly. Because Hulu is a great and flawless service, and
pause for a second. Hulu is a perfectly fine service if you are not going against the terms of services and using an ad block while watching it.
Look, if I'm watching Hulu and there's ads, fine. But on other websites, I don't want ads.
Here's the thing. I respect that, but technically, that you are the one who is breaking the rules, so you can't be mad at Hulu.
I did enable ad block. I did for Hulu, but it did make me watch episode 2 because every time I clicked on the pilot, it would just automatically skip to episode 2, and then I was kind of just under the assumption that I was watching the episode 1 when it started airing. A little to my knowledge, I was not.
Yeah, so
and so when they hit me with I'm raising a kid because her mom was a serial killer and she's dead now. I was just like, oh, jeez, what? What was happening?
Fair, it's not much better if you would watch the first episode, but at least it's a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, it was still really hilarious. It really caught me out of the blue.
Yeah, so Javier and Marcus, they go off to the bridge, we assume.
Yeah.
And so Jimmy is now worried because Hope won't smile at him. And, Virginia thinks it's because, she's, a bad person.
The daughter of a serial killer.
And that some of that evil must be, I don't think she said hereditary, or even said it, but I feel like that's what she was implying.
She did say, she did mispronounce it hereditary. I think she said hereditary.
That sounds about right.
I was like, okay, this is a thing, I guess. Because, of course, this was my first episode.
Yeah, no. Okay, so Hope won't smile at him. Also, not that important, but Cousin Mike is gone and doesn't even really get brought back up again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they make a joke about how he went and joined a cult. And that's one of the last times you hear about Cousin Mike throughout the show. I guess he was a character they had idea for the pilot, and they decided to drop the character when the show got picked up.
Yeah, could have been a casting thing. Honestly, couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I will say, there is, he comes back at some point, but it's not, it's definitely, he's not talked about a lot, and you will not hear about him for a while. Yeah. Now we go to this is the first episode with the subplot. The subplot of this episode is that Virginia and Mama need to quit smoking because of the baby.
Yeah.
And, specifically, like, Bert wants them to quit smoking, mostly, not even because of the baby, but because he's gotten tired of kissing Virginia, who smokes. He said, I believe the line was that, when we were 15, it was cool because you were like dirty Sandy at the end of Grease, but now I'm starting to like the taste of your mouth less.
Yeah. To which Jimmy replies, "Ew."
Yeah.
Appropriately so. Yeah, just wild cast of characters, honestly, with the family and just their family dynamics is just insane. And Mama, of course, is not lucid.
Yeah, no.
And out of her mind.
But yeah. So now Jimmy has to, take the, baby to work with him, because what else is he gonna do? He can't leave it at home with Mama. That's not an idea. And everyone else has to go to his mom has to go to her job as a maid, and so he takes the baby with him to go work with his dad at his landscaping job, which apparently he's back to now. Because he definitely quit that job at the beginning of the last episode, and I don't remember them ever establishing that he was going to start working with him again.
Yeah.
It's just a slight, plot inconsistency. It happens with pilots to the rest of the series, but, like, he definitely quit the job, and there wasn't even, like, a throwaway line of, like, hey, can I have my job back now that I have a kid? Like, just, now he's back.
Yeah, it felt like they could have at least done that throwaway line.
They could have given like a throwaway line. I feel like that. I will say that is my personal first flaw I have in the show. Because like Cousin Mike is one thing. You write off a character, okay, fine, whatever. Who cares about the character? But like this was like, why? What's with the plot inconsistency? There was no need for this.
Yeah. Yeah, really though.
Yeah.
And so then the people that they're working for.
Yeah.
Calls the cops on them
because they
they're using a weed whacker around a baby.
Jimmy has like the baby in like a baby Bjorn, and he's using a weed whacker, and then the baby is on its car seat on top of the lawnmower. Like there's repeated dangerous of situations you can consider for a landscaper to put a baby in. They do it. Yeah. So they got that going for him. So they get the cops called on him, and Jimmy's like, "Oh, I will find someone to do daycare. I will go to get daycare for the kid. I'm sorry." And then Bert, is mad at the old lady that they were working for. Like, you could have just told us.
Bert.
Bert. All the characters are so well written. I love them. I mean, not all the characters. Like, I mean, there's certain characters that like, maybe are barely in this episode for are introduced and then show up later. Like, maybe we might have already mentioned them, who really don't have much of a character arc. Javier and Marcus. Javier and Marcus are just kind of there. But
yeah, the friends who are just, hey, you want to do this crazy thing?
That's what that's called. It's called, hey, we wrote out the other young guy who he was kind of friends with, his cousin, so we need to introduce new characters for him to have relationships with.
Yeah.
But so yeah.
What's she gonna do?
Where did I leave off? Okay.
They get the cops called.
Now we're off
and then
to the
daycare.
He says that. Now we're off to the newly cowboyified.
Yeah.
The cowboyified grocery store. The store is called Howdy's. They don't say it, I don't think, in this episode, but that is established later. They go off to Howdy's. Okay. Which is where Sabrina works, if you were paying attention earlier. Sabrina works at this, grocery store. That's the word I'm looking for. My brain forgot. It is, almost 1 o'clock, so my brain forgot the word grocery store.
Yeah, that's fair. It is a wee bit.
Yeah. So, yeah, he goes off to the grocery store, he's talking to Sabrina. And, Sabrina is talking about how there's this one crazy lady who comes into the store every week to put... day-old stickers on bread to try to get on new bread to get half price on new bread. And then, of course, that crazy lady is revealed to be none other than Virginia Chance.
Jimmy's mom.
Yeah, so she walks over to talk to, Jimmy, and this is the first time that Sabrina meets her and, finds out that Jimmy's mom is crazy. Not that she would have not thought Jimmy was crazy. This is just definitely not making Jimmy less crazy, that's for sure.
Yeah, not any more of a hot ticket item.
Yeah. So Virginia, as they're about to leave, says, "Hey, let's kill two birds with one stone. Get you a chance to talk to her and, see if we
get
can
a babysitter.
Get our solution to our problem." Ask Sabrina if she's a babysitter, and Sabrina says she does not, but that her cousin does. So now we go to, I believe this is the next scene. I hope so, because the next thing I wrote.
Yeah. The next thing I wrote was, "Hey, Kate McCucci."
Yes.
And then briefly after that, I think I got an ad, an eHarmony ad, and I just wrote unrelated to eHarmony, really trying to get that younger demographic. Yeah. Because I was like, oh wow, they're not all 50-year-olds in this commercial. That's crazy. I think this is the first time I've seen young people. Anyway.
So when Jimmy goes to drop off Hope at daycare, he finds out Sabrina's cousin, Shelly, is actually a girl he made out with 2 years ago and lied to about how he would call her. She is
very excited.
Yeah, she's very excited to see him.
To meet back with him again.
But, he's not into her because she has a dead tooth.
She's got a nice little brown shiner on her.
One of her teeth is dead. And
one of her two front teeth.
Now I have here written, side note is, Shelly is played by the super talented Kate McCucci, one half of comedy music duo Garfunkel and Oates. We are treated to her first comedic song when Jimmy goes to pick up Hope from daycare. It's a really fun song about biting. Okay, sub little thing that I didn't mention earlier is this is not just a daycare for babies. There is also animals and elderly people.
Yeah, that was one of the notes I made. I was like, I really love Shelly's dog, toddler, and elder daycare.
Yeah.
It's like, she said, I'm going to corner the market on taking care of all of the living creatures.
Yeah, so she made a fun little song about how, not to bite, whether, you're feeling kind of mangy, or your diaper might need changing, or your diaper might need changing. It's a great song. I will say this is not the only time they use that talent that Kate McCucci has and have some funny songs throughout the show. So
which I am glad
look forward that there will be at least, I can think of at least one more time. I think it's more, though, of songs we get from Kate McCucci throughout the show.
Nice.
Alright, so back to the actual plot. That was a fun little side note. We go to Bert, Jimmy's dad, and boss, in case he's both right now. So he makes Mama a little bubble to smoke in. Because if she's smoking in the bubble, then technically none of the smoke is in the house. So therefore Virginia has to quit smoking. Because part of Virginia's deal was that that she doesn't have to quit smoking. He doesn't have to quit smoking because Mama's going to keep smoking, and therefore there'll be smoke in the house. So why can't she? And so he put Mama in a bubble. So he can try to convince Virginia to quit smoking.
Yeah.
Virginia then declines and requests her own bubble. If she gets a bubble, she wants a bubble.
And then it pans back to Mama in the bubble.
I think that's a little later, isn't it?
Is it?
It might not be.
Yeah,
no, you're right.
It's not.
I didn't write anything down about the conversation, so it's fine. So yeah, then we cut back to the next big joke is that Mama is basically dying in this bubble.
Yeah.
Because also, there was a throwaway line in this scene that this bubble, the concept came from Cousin Mike's idea for a walk-in bong.
Ah, yes.
Which, you don't want, you want it to be in that and, absorb all that. You don't want to absorb, smoke. So
cigarette smoke?
Yeah. So, then I think the next thing we have is that we have, I don't remember if there was a scene we might have missed. At some point, Jimmy was abandoned by his dad at the daycare. I think that was when he went to pick up Hope earlier. So Shelly had to
He's in a rush, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my dad's in a rush."
And then he just
his dad literally drives off.
and
then Shelly's just like, wow, he really was in a rush.
Yeah. So Shelly ended up giving Jimmy and Hope a ride home. So Jimmy is trying to, get her to leave because he is not interested in this girl at all.
Right.
And he's like, hey, I'm gonna go put the baby down. She's like, oh, I'll do it. And right before she goes to take Hope off and put her down for bed, Hope also smiles at her, which
just the first time she smiled.
First time, Jimmy's ever seen Hope smile at anyone is at Shelly. So he's really doesn't know what to do because one, Shelly's giving him free daycare because she likes him, and two, it's the first person that his daughter's ever smiled. It's the only person that his daughter actually likes. He can't, what is he supposed to do?
Kind of stuck in a situation there.
So now.
And so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you have something, go for it.
Oh no, that's fine.
All right,
I'll throw in something.
Okay, cool. So Jimmy and Shelly are going to the store to rent a movie and buy brownie mix, I believe, is what they said they were going to go buy.
Yeah, because they're gonna have a little date night, movie night.
Yeah, because So, and then when they get there, they realize that Jimmy realizes at the register that it's Sabrina's working the register, and he doesn't want Sabrina to know that he's, dating Shelly in any capacity. Yeah, because he wants, he loves Sabrina, so he doesn't want her to know that.
Yeah.
So he tries to make up a lie. Like he's like, "Oh, well, we have too many things for this express lane." They had 2 items at that time, so he then picks up 12 candy bars or something crazy.
Yeah, he picks up a whole box of the candy bars. And
he realizes it's 1 or 2 too small, so he grabs 2 more and puts them in the box, just to make sure they were 1 over the limit. And then Shelly's like, "She's my cousin, she won't care," and then just proceeds to go right into the lie. And Jimmy, and you can tell Sabrina realizes Jimmy is not happy, and that he looks
he's in a very uncomfortable position.
And he's trying to be like, "Oh yeah, we're not moving fast. We're just kind of trying to stay friends." And immediately Shelly's like, "I forgot condoms," and runs off. And Jimmy's just poor Jimmy is just stuck there and Sabrina's like, "Oh, I didn't realize that you guys had a thing before. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you. I didn't realize," because apparently basically implying that her cousin's kind of a little off there, that if she would have known that there was a chance that Shelly would have felt like this, she wouldn't have sent him towards her.
Yeah.
So she's like, you seem like one of those, you should be holding up today's newspaper, implying that he's what's the word?
Like a missing child?
Yeah, missing child kind of thing. And so while Shelly is putting the condoms onto the... Why am I blanking on words? I mean, I know why, because it's 1 o'clock. But...
to
just to pay for it. I don't know what the word is for that little thing there, though, but that's what I was thinking.
You know the thing.
The thing where you ring things up at a grocery store. On that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that thing. Whatever. She puts it on that thing. He holds up the newspaper. Oh, newspaper behind her is like, "Me." He mouths "help me" to Sabrina, and Sabrina's like, "Oh my gosh," and dusts off the movie like, "Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo. I love this movie. I really want to see this. Can I come watch it with you guys?" And of course, Jimmy's gonna be like, "Yes, please," because he wants to spend time with Sabrina. 2, he wants to be saved from the inevitable relationship he's being forced into with Shelly.
Yeah. Which is... Ugh.
Yeah.
Feel for them,
yeah. So then they're on their way. They're now on the way back home, and on the bridge, we now run into a wet Javier and Marcus, who have apparently been fake fighting on the bridge and throwing each other into the river, the river or lake, whatever it was, to try to I guess freak out passersby.
Yeah.
So he invites them to the movie as well. He's like, "Hey, these are my best friends. Is this a deal breaker?" Hoping that it is. And she's like, and of course Shelly is like, "Nah, this is cool."
No, that's fine.
So we now cut to the house. I think the next scene is Jimmy's talking to Virginia about how Sabrina's coming over, so she tells him to go change. And maybe try to find one of those V-necks.
Find a nice V-neck.
Of course, Jimmy does not own a V-neck, so he just cuts up his own shirt into a V-neck.
Oh,
So he comes
that's
back out
great.
to the living room, and Sabrina shows up at the house with her boyfriend Wyatt. Dun dun dun.
Gosh.
Yeah. So,
But
and then there's a
who
fun.
proceeds to compliment Jimmy
Yeah.
on his nice.
He compliments his V-neck. He's like, "Hey, where'd you get that?" And Jimmy, my closet.
So good.
Oh, it is. Then we kind of just cut to like an outside scene where like everyone's just kind of having fun except for Jimmy, who's kind of sitting alone, like not happy. And
Yeah.
Shelly comes
Even-
over with a towel to cover them and maybe let them do something. And Jimmy comes clean and tells Shelly that he's not into her, but is actually into Sabrina. And Shelly is honestly very understanding and says like, "Hey, we like kissed a couple years ago. You don't have to still, like it didn't have to mean anything."
Yeah.
And it seems very like cool and agrees to still let Hope, have daycare at her daycare center for $60 a week, I think. Whatever. She's going to charge him now. It's not going to be free.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for songs and daycare?
Yeah, no. Fair enough. Yeah. Now we cut back to kind of our subplot. We have, in a rare moment of lucidness, we have Mama, who...
Which happens in episode 1 as well, that we forgot to mention.
I did forget to mention that, because I don't remember what... The scene didn't feel that important to the general plot of the episode, I feel like, is why I didn't mention it. There's probably a couple other scenes here and there that I might miss, and they might even be funny, but they don't fit the, general importance of mentioning. When I was doing this, I was trying to skim over. Now, after this discussion and how we're doing this podcast, next time I probably will write down every scene, but I didn't initially on my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
This is episode 1, so bear with us as we there's gonna be some learning curves.
Yeah, it's gonna be growing pains.
Growing pains, yeah. Learning curves wasn't what I meant, but either way, I guess it could be either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The point is, in her moment of lucidness, Bert's like, "Hey, I need to get you to agree to quit smoking right now," and Mama's like, "You're letting me smoke? I quit years ago, back when Virginia was a baby."
Virginia was like, "You quit smoking for me?" She's like, "If you're Virginia."
Yeah. And then we cut back to him talking to Virginia, trying to get her to agree to quit smoking, and she points back around, and Mama is right back to smoking because she's no longer lucid. So Virginia picks up her cigarette and walks away, still smoking. Now we come back into, I believe this is one of our last scene. No, second to last scene.
Yeah.
So we have Virginia coming in to kind of console a sad Jimmy because Sabrina's with Wyatt and that makes him sad. But the thing that makes him the most sad right now.
By the way, very, very successful and also very handsome.
Yeah. Way more in Sabrina's league than Jimmy is, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Sabrina is kind of a loser who works at a grocery store. So I mean,
she's a very pretty loser.
That is true. That's right. But yeah, so she comes in to console him about that.
Winning personality.
Virginia comes in to console Jimmy about that, but he actually says the thing that he's most sad / worried about right now is that he doesn't know how he's gonna find $60 a month to pay for daycare now because he still needs daycare, and so at that point, Virginia decides to give Jimmy her cigarette money to pay for daycare, saying that she's going to not only just quit smoking, but also help pay for daycare. It's a big moment of growth.
Yeah, big moment of growth for Virginia as a character, despite being, the parent of Jimmy. You would think that she would already had, done a lot of her growing.
Yeah.
But no.
So then the episode ends with Jimmy being really happy he got Hope to smile, but it actually is only because a piece of the brownies that Shelly made earlier is stuck on his tooth, making it look like he also has a dead tooth. Yeah. But Jimmy doesn't know that. We and Virginia know that, and the episode ends.
Yeah. Alluding to the fact that the only reason that Hope has smiled at all is because
she finds
funny
dead
lady
teeth
has dead
funny.
She looks funny.
Yeah, apparently. But yeah,
Which,
so
I mean, you know.
I think from this discussion, the general consensus is you like this, right?
Yeah, uh, we did kind of just jump right in. But if you weren't in stream during one of our intermissions, you didn't get to hear me talk about how much I don't really like sitcoms and how much of a stretch that like doing a whole podcast on sitcoms was. But after starting Raising Hope, I'm very pleasantly surprised, eager to watch the rest of it. But yeah, I'm gung ho for it now.
And I obviously love this show, and that's why I chose to start with it. It's one of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites that's shorter, which is also part of why we started with it.
Yeah, one of the downsides to sitcoms and reviewing them is that most of them are very, very, very long and have insane amounts of seasons.
Yeah, there's a couple that I want to review that are shorter, which is good. So, as we mentioned earlier in this one, then at some point you will be, My Name is Earl, unless this, fails miserably and we never do another episode.
Which, possible. I'm sure we'll get to at least 5 episodes
Yeah.
before we give up.
I'm not going to give up probably till at least the end of this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta
Alright.
at least see it completion.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
This has been episode 1 of Sitcommentary. Next week we will be reviewing episodes 3 and 4. For Sitcommentary, every week we will review 2 episodes, so it'll be whatever the next 2 episodes that aren't in the title of this video.
Yeah.
So
if you're looking at something to watch,
yeah,
and you haven't watched episode 1 or 2 yet,
go back, watch those,
maybe
watch 3 and 4 before our next episode when that comes out for you.
And you can be up to date with us as we watch the show with you.
And then you can be like mad at our opinions on the episode. If we really like an episode that you think is horrible, you can let us know in the comments. All right. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week. Some sort of cool sign-off specifically for this show that I haven't come up with yet.
Hey, why don't you sit in with us next week? I don't know.
Commentary. Sitcom. Yeah.